Have you ever given everything to someone, your time, your love, your energy, only to feel like it was never enough? Have you ever asked yourself why she lost interest the moment you started caring? Why she went cold just when you got serious? Listen carefully. You're not going crazy. You're not too emotional. You're just living in a reality where men are expected to chase, provide, and sacrifice, while being treated like options. She doesn't miss you. She misses the control, the attention, the certainty. The second you disappear, her world gets quiet. And in that quiet, you become the loudest thought in her mind. And that's what breaks her. Because in today's world, walking away is the most powerful thing you can do. Comment, "I know my value," if you're done settling for less than you deserve. Number 1. Walking away is self-respect. Every man reaches a point where silence isn't surrender, it's sanity. Walking away isn't a tactic, it's a declaration to the world and to yourself that you will no longer compromise your inner peace for temporary affection. It's not about being cold or heartless. It's about recognizing that your time, energy, and attention are the most valuable currencies you own, and you've been spending them on someone who never intended to give you a return. You're not weak for caring. You're not soft for loving. But staying in a dynamic where your love is used, stretched thin, and taken for granted isn't loyalty, it's self-betrayal. Every unanswered message, every delayed reply, every plan cancelled last minute is a quiet message. You're not a priority. And if you keep tolerating that, you train her and the world to treat you like an option. Have you ever noticed how she only reaches out when you finally pull away? That's not love. That's desperation to keep control. But the man who truly walks away doesn't come back. Not because he's bitter, but because he's grown. His value doesn't rise when she panics. It was always there. He just forgot. Walking away forces her to see the value she pretended not to need. But more importantly, it forces you to finally see what you've been giving to someone who never deserved it. That peace you've been chasing in her arms, in her attention, in her unpredictable mood swings. It was never there. It's inside you, buried under years of emotional exhaustion. You don't need closure. You need clarity. And clarity comes when you remove yourself from anything that confuses your worth. That includes her mixed signals. That includes her games. That includes her false promises and hot and cold behavior. You deserve consistency. You deserve respect. And if she can't offer that, your only response is distance, not anger, not revenge, just a quiet exit, not a dramatic goodbye, just a deleted number, a shift in focus, a commitment to never again prioritize someone who weaponized your love against you. And the truth is, once you experience that peace, real peace, the kind that comes from knowing you no longer need her validation, you'll never trade it again. You'll stop apologizing for standards. You'll stop negotiating your needs. You'll stop waiting for her to change because you'll realize you were never the problem. The only mistake you made was trying to convince someone of your worth when they were too blind to see it. But now, you see it. And from this moment on, you never shrink to fit into her world again. You expand, you level up, you walk calmly, decisively, completely. Because walking away isn't loss, it's liberation. She becomes a chapter in a book that was always about your transformation. And if you're ready to write the rest of that story with intention, clarity, and unshakable power, then the Stoic Relationship Blueprint for Men is your next step. This isn't just a book. It's a blueprint to become the man who never loses himself in love, who never begs for validation, who never waits for closure. It's built from timeless Stoic principles and real-world truths that will transform how you think, feel, and lead. Not just in relationships, but in life. And now, it's available in audiobook form. so you can absorb every life-changing insight while walking, training, driving, or grinding toward your goals. This is the kind of knowledge you don't just read once. You return to it over and over because it grows with you. And once it's yours forever. You'll never look at relationships or your future the same way again. The link is in the comments. Start listening today and never lose yourself to anyone again. Number 2. Her ego needs the chase. She doesn't want to lose you, but she doesn't want to choose you either. What she wants is control, attention without commitment, power without responsibility. She wants the security of knowing you're there, while reserving the freedom to keep her options open. So she tests you. She withholds affection. She becomes colder, slower to reply, more busy. Not because she's done with you, but because she's checking if you'll still chase her even when she stops reciprocating. And most men do. They beg, they double text, they overinvest, hoping to rekindle what they never truly had. That's when she knows she owns you. You've become her emotional puppet. She doesn't need to love you to want your attention. She just needs to feel wanted, admired, desired. And as long as you're giving her that for free, she'll never leave. But she'll never commit either. It's a limbo designed to drain you slowly. Have you ever sat there staring at your phone, hoping she replies, only to get a cold, "Sorry, I fell asleep," 10 hours later? Meanwhile, her Instagram is updated, her stories are filled with nights out, and your name hasn't crossed her mind. But the moment you go quiet, the moment you stop checking in, stop initiating, stop validating her with your energy, that's when she notices. That's when she reappears with just enough attention to pull you back in. "I miss you. You've been quiet lately. Hope you're okay." Don't be fooled. That's not care. That's a control check. She's not scared of losing you. She's scared of losing access to the way you made her feel. And the only way to break the cycle is to refuse to play. Stop explaining yourself. Stop proving your worth. Stop chasing someone who thrives on your desperation. You are not a rehab center for emotionally lazy women who think the bare minimum is enough. You are not a source of endless reassurance for someone who only values your presence when it starts to fade. Your love isn't a gift if it's given out of fear. It's only powerful when it's given from a place of strength. Walking away from her isn't just about leaving. It's about reclaiming your self-worth. It's about understanding that you were never the problem. You were just the one who cared more. But that ends now. From this point forward, she earns your energy, or she loses access to it completely. No more half-love, no more crumbs. If she can't match your effort, your focus, your loyalty, she doesn't get to keep your presence, not even a piece of it. And once you detach from the illusion of who she was and face the truth of what she is, a woman who wanted your attention more than she wanted you, you'll never fall for the game again. The chase ends. The obsession fades. The real you rises. And she'll finally realize, too late, that she was never the prize. You were. Number 3, control shifts to you. Every time you overthink her texts, every time you replay your last conversation to see where you went wrong, every time you try to decode her silence, you're not just surrendering your peace. You're handing over your power like a blank check and hoping she cashes it with mercy. She won't, because as long as you seek her validation, she holds the keys to your self-worth, and she knows it. But the moment you truly stop reacting, not pretending, not going cold as a tactic, but genuinely detaching from the outcome, you flip the entire dynamic. You stop being the man who seeks to impress her and become the man who demands to be impressed. And that alone changes everything. You see, she doesn't actually want a man she can control. She wants the man who doesn't flinch when she pulls away, who doesn't chase when she acts distant, who doesn't get rattled when she throws emotional chaos into the mix. She tests because she wants to feel something, and the man who passes isn't the one who explains himself. He's the one who doesn't feel the need to. You become that man when you decide that no one gets to dictate your emotional state, not her, not the silence, not the games. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that you don't care if she texts. You don't care if she watches your stories. You don't care what she posts or who she's with. That's not numbness. That's strength. Because now you are no longer reacting. You are choosing. You are back in the driver's seat. You walk into the gym with focus. You go to work with drive. You build your routine not around checking your phone, but around building your future. And while you're rising, she's watching. Because now, you're the one who moved. You're the one who disappeared without closure. You're the one she underestimated, only to realize you were never dependent. You were just present. When you walk away, you strip her of her favorite weapon, uncertainty. She can't play hot and cold if you don't respond. She can't pull away if you're already gone. And what replaces the game is a new feeling she didn't expect. Doubt. Doubt that you'll return. Doubt that someone else will match your presence. Doubt that she mattered as much as she thought. You don't even need to post about it. The man who really takes back control doesn't flex his growth. He embodies it. He shows it in his silence, his focus, his glow-up, his mental shift. While she's still trying to read you, you've already rewritten your entire story. And the craziest part, she'll feel it. Long before you ever hear from her again, she'll feel that shift in the energy, the way you no longer orbit around her, the way she no longer anchors your day. She'll feel it in the stillness of her phone, in the emptiness of her inbox, in the way your absence starts speaking louder than your presence ever did. Because when a man stops chasing, begging, and proving, when he walks with quiet confidence and unshakable peace, control doesn't just shift, it vanishes from her hands completely. And in that vacuum, she realizes something terrifying. She never had power over you. She just had access. And now, she doesn't. Number 4. Absence creates narrative loops. When you're gone, not halfway, not pretending, but fully gone, something strange begins to happen. She stops seeing you as the guy who was always available. She stops remembering the last argument. She starts remembering moments, laughs, touches, looks, and all of it floods back, not because she misses the relationship, but because her brain can't make peace with the unknown. You see, closure is a privilege, and when you walk without offering it, when you vanish without explanation, when you stop giving her any emotional signal to interpret, you don't disappear from her world. You become the center of it. Because the human mind is allergic to uncertainty. And women, especially those who are used to being chased, are not built to handle being unresolved. They need to assign a narrative. They need to figure out what happened. So they replay it, on loop. Why did he stop reaching out? Was he really that serious? Did I go too far? Was he faking it the whole time? And those questions keep her up at night. She tries to scroll past your pictures. She tries to laugh with her friends. She tries to date someone new, hoping it'll distract her from the one man who didn't stick around waiting for crumbs. But the loop plays louder, because now she doesn't just miss you. She can't explain you. And that's worse. You become the man she can't decode. And in a world where every man begged, explained, and pleaded, your silence isn't empty. It's loud. Louder than any words you could have said. The irony is, she'll tell herself you were just another guy, nothing special, easy to replace. But if that were true, why is she still checking your socials? Why is she still watching your story from a burner account? Why does she still bring your name up months later in conversations that don't involve you? It's because the unresolved haunts her, and the man who walks away without a single breadcrumb behind becomes the story she tells herself to feel better. and the one she can't stop telling because it never really ended. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about hurting her. It's about creating space for your peace and letting that space do what words never could. It's about understanding that sometimes the most powerful thing you can leave behind is nothing. No message, no explanation, no warning, just the absence that forces her to face what she lost. And what she lost wasn't just a man. It was the feeling she had when she was with you. That feeling she took for granted, that presence she played games with, that connection she thought would always be there. Gone. And the more she dates, the more she tries to replace it, the clearer the difference becomes. Because no one matches your stillness, your depth, your energy, not because you're perfect, but because you weren't pretending. And now that you're gone, she finally realizes, too late, that you weren't just another guy. You were the guy who walked when she thought she had you on a leash. And that alone is a story her mind will never stop trying to finish. Number 5. Power is in indifference. You've spent most of your life being taught that care equals power, that the more you show affection, attention, and investment, the more you'll be valued. But that's a lie that costs men everything, because in reality, the person who cares less always holds the leverage. And in modern dynamics, especially with someone who takes your time and effort for granted, your greatest strength isn't how much you give. It's how much you can walk away from without blinking. Real power isn't loud. It doesn't scream or post cryptic stories or send final long messages hoping to be understood. It's quiet, calm, and terrifyingly firm. It looks like not responding when she tries to bait you. It looks like not correcting the lies she spreads to feel better about losing you. It looks like rebuilding your body, your mind, and your future, while she wonders why you're no longer affected. You become untouchable the moment her behavior no longer shapes your mood. And that shift, that's when she panics, because she was never afraid of losing you. She was afraid of losing the version of herself you reflected back to her. That adored, admired, worshipped version that only existed because you put her on a pedestal she never earned. The second you step back, that mirror shatters, and what's left is uncomfortable. The woman who used to walk with pride knowing you'd never leave now finds herself scrolling through your photos late at night, wondering who you're becoming without her. But by the time she notices the value she had, she's already lost access to it. Not because you hate her, but because you've outgrown her. Your value doesn't increase when she regrets. It increases the moment you no longer need her to. The man who builds his life in silence doesn't need applause. The man who sets boundaries without explaining doesn't need validation. And the man who walks away with clarity never circles back out of weakness. Indifference is power because it reclaims your energy and redistributes it towards something that gives you a return. Your peace, your progress, your potential. She expects you to respond because you always did. She expects you to defend yourself because you used to care what she thought. She expects a reaction because most men crack under emotional pressure. But you don't, not anymore. You've learned that peace is more expensive than closure. You've learned that emotional stillness doesn't mean you're numb. It means you've finally chosen yourself over her chaos. And once you taste that kind of self-respect, no woman, no lie, no game, no bait can pull you back into the storm you used to drown in. Indifference isn't just power, it's freedom. The kind that makes her obsess, not because she lost a man, but because she lost the only version of herself that ever felt adored. And that feeling, that's the one she'll never recreate, no matter how many men she dates. Because she can copy your looks, your words, even your type. But she'll never find another man who cared the way you did and still had the strength to walk away and never look back. Number 6. Control your emotions. You think discipline is about how early you wake up, how hard you train, or how long you work. But none of that matters if you can't control your emotions, because emotional control is the foundation of every decision you'll ever make. The man who can't manage his reactions is a slave to anyone who can trigger him. And in today's world, that makes you the easiest man to manipulate. Most men don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they're reactive. They see a text, they panic, they hear silence, they spiral. They get ghosted, and suddenly they're writing essays trying to explain their worth to someone who never deserved their presence in the first place. This emotional volatility isn't just draining, it's destructive. It costs you time, peace, focus, and self-respect. It makes you say things you regret, do things you wouldn't normally do, and destroy your own credibility by showing you're not in control of the one thing you own: yourself. Emotional control isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about directing them. When you feel the urge to chase, to explain, to lash out, it's a signal, not a command. And if you respond to every signal like it's life or death, you'll live in chaos, always reacting to people who don't deserve a second of your energy. The difference between the man who spirals and the man who grows isn't strength, it's stillness. The ability to observe without reacting, to feel without flinching, to notice the disrespect, acknowledge the pain, and still respond with clarity instead of chaos. And it's not easy. You'll feel the pull. You'll want to text, you'll want to call, you'll want to scream, cry, or break something because the silence will feel unbearable. But the breakthrough is on the other side of that silence. When you sit with your discomfort, when you learn to breathe through the storm without reacting, you start to realize that your emotions aren't enemies, they're messages. And those messages don't mean you act. They mean you listen, learn, and respond with purpose. You start small. You start by journaling instead of texting, by walking instead of scrolling, by channeling your pain into discipline, not destruction. And day by day, you build a version of yourself that no longer gets rattled by a woman's mood, no longer overanalyzes messages, no longer attaches his worth to how someone else perceives him. That version of you, he's rare, he's steady, he's grounded, and because of that, he becomes the most attractive man in the room. Not because he's trying to be, but because emotional control is the highest form of power in a world built on chaos. She won't understand it at first. She'll test you, she'll bait you, she'll try to get a rise out of you the same way she always did. But when she gets nothing back, no anger, no sadness, no desperation, just calm, unshakable stillness, that's when she realizes she lost you. Not because you were too emotional, but because you learned to master your emotions before they mastered you. And in doing so, you became the kind of man who's unbreakable, not because he doesn't feel, but because he no longer allows others to dictate what he does with those feelings. Number 7. Leveling up is your closure. You've been taught that closure comes from conversation, that healing comes from hearing why they left, or what you meant to them, or how they really felt deep down. But that's a fantasy. Most men spend years chasing a sentence that will never be said, stuck in emotional limbo, waiting for an explanation that won't change the outcome. The truth is, closure isn't found in words. It's found in evolution. It's found in the quiet, consistent act of becoming someone they never thought you could be. Not for them, not to prove anything, but because you finally woke up and realized that everything you wanted from her, validation, admiration, attention, love, you should have been giving to yourself all along. And once you start, everything changes. You stop checking your phone. You start checking your habits. You stop overthinking her silence. You start mastering your discipline. You stop replaying what she said. You start rewriting who you are. The gym becomes your therapy. Your goals become your anchor. Your time becomes sacred. And while she's still out there pretending she's unbothered, pretending to be fine, surrounding herself with distractions, dating men she doesn't respect just to feel wanted. You're in the shadows building, quietly, relentlessly, unapologetically. And then one day, she sees you, not the version she used to ignore, but the new you, the one she can't access, can't manipulate, can't control, the one who no longer asks why she left, because he knows he left himself first. And now he's back, whole, focused, unavailable. That's the closure. The moment you realize that the pain was the invitation to your potential, that what broke you wasn't her absence, it was your attachment to a version of yourself that didn't know how powerful you were without her. Leveling up isn't just fitness, money, or status. It's who you become when you no longer wait for someone to rescue you from your own reflection. It's when you look in the mirror and see the man you were always supposed to be, calm, decisive, unshaken. It's when you stop seeking peace from people who only gave you confusion. And it's when you stop looking back, not because you've erased the past, but because you've built a future so clear, so fulfilling, so aligned, that no part of you wants to return to the man who tolerated what you did back then. She'll come back. They always do. Not because you were unforgettable, but because your energy is no longer available for free. Because now you've upgraded your standards, and your presence is expensive. She'll notice the difference, the lack of response, the way you move with certainty. The silence that once was filled with neediness now feels like power. She'll watch you, not because she misses you, but because she no longer recognizes the version of you who used to orbit her moods. And it'll haunt her. But by then, it won't matter. Because you're not where she left you, you're miles ahead, physically, mentally, spiritually. Closure isn't her apology, it's your progress. It's when you stop asking if you were enough and start becoming more than she could ever handle. You write down your goals, you break them into steps, and you treat each day like a contract between you and your future. You show up, you suffer in silence, you delay gratification. And while others party, scroll, and chase dopamine, you build, quietly, steadily, without the need for anyone's permission or validation. Because now, your worth isn't tied to her attention. It's defined by your direction. You don't flex anymore. You don't announce your next move. You become so focused, so unavailable, so tuned in to your own growth, that the past doesn't tempt you anymore. Because you've seen what happens when you trade purpose for comfort. You've seen who you become when you settle for connection over clarity. And you've made a vow to never return to that version of yourself. That's your real closure, not revenge, not rebound, not making her jealous. Just living in such truth, such peace, such power, that she becomes a chapter in a book that was always about your transformation. The pain was the plot twist, but the glow-up, that's the legacy. And it starts the day you stop chasing the ending and start building your empire. If you're tired of being the man who gives everything and gets nothing, if you're done begging for love that should have been mutual, then it's time to reclaim your power and never look back. The Stoic Relationship Blueprint for Men is more than an ebook. It's a weapon. A guide filled with timeless Stoic principles that will open your eyes, sharpen your focus, and change your life immediately. And now, it's available in audiobook form, so you can absorb every truth while walking, jogging, or building your empire in silence. This is the knowledge they never wanted you to have, and once it's yours, no one can take it. The link is in the comments. Comment, "My peace is priceless," if you're ready to take the first step. Like this video, subscribe, and help another man avoid years of pain, confusion, and regret.